Welcome to Block 16 of our Celebrating the States Block of the Month. This is our version of the Alaska block. For this block, you will need 5 fabrics, a light, a dark, 2 mediums, and an accent fabric. From a 3.5-inch strip of the light fabric, cut 2 squares that are 3 inches by 3 inches, 4 squares that are 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches, and 1 square that is 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. From a 4-inch strip of the medium number 1 fabric, cut 2 squares that are 4 inches by 4 inches and 2 squares that are 3 7/8 inch by 3 7/8 inch. Bisect the 3 7/8 inch squares corner to corner for 4 triangles. From a 4-inch strip of the medium number 2 fabric, you're going to cut the same, 2 4-inch squares and 2 squares that are 3 7/8 inch by 3 7/8 inch that you will bisect corner to corner for 4 triangles. From a 2.5-inch strip of the accent fabric, cut 4 squares that are 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. From a 4.5-inch strip of a dark fabric, cut 2 squares that are 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches. Bisect these squares twice, corner to corner, for 8 triangles. You also need to cut 2 squares that are 3 inches by 3 inches and 1 square that is 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Once you're done cutting, it's time to piece. Make sure you use 1/4-inch seam allowances unless directed otherwise. Piece the dark triangles to the 2.5-inch light squares. You're going to line up the sides and not worry about the triangle points that will hang off the edge. You will be making 4 of these units. Press these towards the dark fabric. Piece the remaining 4 dark triangles to this unit to form a large triangle unit. Make sure you have the sides lined up and don't worry about the tips of the triangles that hang off the edge of the square. If you're enjoying our Celebrating the States Block of the Month, we hope that you will remember to hit that like button and leave us a comment. Press towards the dark triangle. Press carefully so that you don't stretch the triangle pieces. Now it's time to piece the medium triangles to these units. 2 of them will have the medium 1 fabric and 2 of them will have the medium 2 fabric. You will need to line up the point and 2 of the sides. The top tip will hang off the edge. Remember to make 2 with each of the medium fabrics. The Alaska block is block 16 of the 50 state blocks that we will be doing videos on. Let us know in the comments section below how many of the blocks you've made so far. You will press towards the medium fabrics. Double check that you have 2 made with 1 medium fabric and 2 made with the other medium fabric. Piece the matching medium triangle to the other side of this unit. Press toward the medium triangle. Once they're pressed, you will need to trim these units to 3.5 inches by 6.5 inches. The center point should line up with the 3 1/4 inch mark on the ruler. There won't be a lot to trim off. Make sure you still have 1/4 inch seam allowances so that you don't cut any of the corners of the light square off. Next, we're going to work on the corners of the block. With the medium 4-inch squares, right sides together, I'm going to use my diagonal seam tape to sew a 1/4 inch away from the center line on both sides. Another way to do this would be to draw a line from corner to corner on the back side of one of the fabrics and use that as a line to follow when you sew on both sides of it. Once you finish sewing, you're going to cut on that center line to get 4 half square triangle units, and then you will press towards the darker fabric. Once you're done pressing, you need to trim these squares to 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. My favorite tool for this is to use my block lock ruler. Using the 3.5 inch squares of the light and dark fabrics with right sides together, use that same technique to get 2 half square triangle units and press towards the dark fabric. Once pressed, you don't need to worry about trimming it down to a certain size. We're just going to cut corner to corner across the seam to get 4 triangles. Switch one of the triangle units from each to the other one to get 2 1/4 square triangle units. You only need one for this block, so you'll have to save the other for something fun. Piece the 1/4 square triangle block together and then press to one side. Once you're done pressing, you will need to trim this block to 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. The center mark when you're trimming should be on the 1 1/4 inch mark. Using the 3-inch squares of the light and dark fabrics, you will make 4 half square triangle units using your diagonal seam tape or drawing a line corner to corner on the back side of the light fabric and sewing on both sides. Once you're done cutting on the center line, you will need to press towards the dark fabric. Trim each of these squares to measure 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. Combine these units with the 2.5 inch accent squares and the 1/4 square triangle unit to make a 9-patch center for the block. Lay it out carefully as shown and then sew 3 rows of 3 squares. Press these towards the accent fabric. Double check everything is going the right way before you sew the rows together. If you press towards the accent fabric when you go to sew the rows together, the seams will nest and you won't need to use pins. This time around, you'll want to press towards the center row. If the seam needs a little encouragement to lay flat, you can always use some best press spray. Piece the triangle units made with the medium number 1 fabric onto the opposite sides of the 9-patch center unit. Press towards the center block. Next, we need to piece the 4 corner squares to the remaining triangle units. Make sure to position the pieces as shown. The medium fabrics should match as you sew them to the triangle units. Press towards the corner blocks. I'm going to lay my block out right here on the ironing mat. That way I can double check that I've sewn everything correctly before I sew the last 2 seams. I'm going to pin the one side in place while I sew the other one so that I don't get things confused when it's time to add the other side. The seams here should nest together so you won't even need pins. All that's left to do is a final pressing. I'm going to press away from the center. Once pressed, our Alaska block is done. When I was testing this block, I did make another colorway and had that center quarter square triangle flipped so that the blues and the whites didn't match. I also used 2 different light fabrics. So you can arrange this one a couple of different ways. We hope you remember to hit the like button, leave us a comment, share with your quilting friends, and subscribe. Thanks for watching and happy quilting!